Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and this is it. The last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Avengers Endgame countdown, and that is Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos daily. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at Movie Guy 365. Alright, I know what you're saying. It is not the last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I said at my very first video that I wasn't going to cover Captain Marvel only because it is still currently in theaters and I don't have, and part of the reason I'm doing this series is to talk about the different formats as well. Captain Marvel apparently will be out in mid-June or sometime in June, so I'm of course going to do a review for that one, but for all intents and purposes, this is going to be the last one I'm going to cover before Avengers Endgame countdown. We're finally here, so yes. Ant-Man and the Wasp in 4K, and of course with the Zavi 3D Steelbook exclusive. So, just a quick thing. All right, so as far as the Steelbooks go, as you can see, they're almost identical. In fact, they are identical by the image. But why I like the Zavi version a little bit more is it has that nice gloss to it. This is kind of a matte finish. I always like gloss more, a little, most cases. So yeah, I like that Steelbook. Of course, they are available in your standard slipcover, which I do not own the standard slipcover for that. But let's talk a little bit about the 4K and a little about the 3D. I think the 4K looks actually really, really good. It has a nice amount of HDR, good pop out there. Atmos track is okay. It's not full as per Disney releases. It doesn't have that good impact to it. In fact, in a lot of cases, you're almost better defaulting to the Dolby Digital because it gives you a little bit more of a robust sound. But if you have an Atmos track, that's what you can expect. But as I said, the HDR does look good. The 3D, I love the 3D in this. And as much as I love the 3D in the original Ant-Man, it still has that same coolness effect. Everything is just kind of like, super, super big. And it fills the world of a good immersion as far as the 3D picture goes. I felt it was just a tad weaker than the original Ant-Man. I like the 3D in that just a little bit more. I think that's a good reference quality disc as far as 3D goes. This one, I think it misses it just a little bit, but it's still very, very good. I would go back and forth to the 4K or the 3D version. They both look really, really good for different reasons, obviously. So, all right, with that out of the way, let's talk about the movie. So, we are now in a post-Avengers Infinity War world, and while this movie takes place, some would say like just before Infinity War or during the events, I'm going to say just before because, everything with the end credits scene, which I'll touch on in a moment. So Paul Rudd's back, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and of course Michelle Pfeiffer, as Janet Van Dyne. I would say my only real complaint is we didn't get enough of her in this. I think she needed to be a little bit more front and center, but I understand, the whole point of the movie is to rescue her from the quantum realm, which is going to play a part in Avengers Endgame. There's a lot going on here. I know a lot of people kind of skip this one and feel like they didn't need to see it. I would argue against that. I would say definitely go see it because there are ramifications that happen from this film going into Endgame. You're definitely going to see some effects of the quantum realm. And they mention some key stuff, especially at the end. I love it. As far as the villain goes, the Ghost, I like the Ghost. It was a different kind of character, but she wasn't 100% fleshed out as we've gotten previous, things like Killmonger and Thanos and, that kind of thing. It was a little bit on the weak side, but I still enjoyed her character. I actually enjoyed the actress playing her. As far as Bill Foster goes, played by the great Lawrence Fishburne, I enjoyed him a lot. But I would have liked to have seen like a Goliath scene. I think that was one of the big things, pun intended, of one of the big things about this movie that I felt was missing. They could have not necessarily had him go full villain, but maybe him and Ant-Man as like Giant Man could have had a good battle. I think that would have been cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. I don't know if it's off the table for future sequels, that kind of thing. But I would have liked to have seen it. I enjoyed the dynamic of the cast, the story, Walton Goggins. Well, I love him. I feel he kind of didn't have a whole lot to do. He was really only brought in as a plot device, that kind of thing. Because there was no inherent true villain in this movie. So he kind of fit that role, but even that wasn't, he wasn't really a threat in any real regard. But, I do love what we got here. As I mentioned, I think I would have changed a few things. And of course, let's talk briefly about that end credit scene. The one with the ant was kind of a waste. I didn't like that one. Jokey end credit scenes, we as Marvel fans like to sit and wait for them, but sometimes it can kind of get, just a little too much. And essentially that was like shown in the trailer. So I didn't think it needed to be there. I think they could have done something else. But I guess because it was, the second end credit scene had repercussions from Infinity War. I love that because, me being the true diehard Marvel fan, I went to the movies obviously to see this one. And I loved the gasp from the audience with what happened when Scott's in the quantum realm and then everybody else who's supposed to help him is gone. Like they've been dusted. So that was a cool moment. I enjoyed that one. Just hearing that gasp from the audience. That was kind of really, really, really neat. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for Ant-Man and the Wasp. We are done with this series. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about the movie? What do you have like a special place in your heart for Ant-Man? What do you want to see more of that in the future? I certainly do. I know we're going to see at least Scott in Endgame, maybe more, who knows? So let me know in the comments, and I want to thank everybody for sticking with me on the series. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time doing it. May do something like this again in the future. Hey, there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. So, yeah. So let me know in the comments below. And in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Put out videos every single day. And until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at Endgame.